is the Thursday mid-afternoon live stream. And again, I've pointed this out that I do these live streams to try to pick up more people from Europe or various other parts of the world. I do my regular live stream on Monday night at 7 for anybody in the US and Canada and that part of the world. So anyway, I'm here today and I'm hoping everyone is well. I have, a few things to talk about, but let me go see who is here. Early on, we have Clark Clifford checking in. Glad you're here. Jorge is checking in. 2 thumbs up. Thank you for that. Clark Clifford says, today's color is green. Yeah. Crash Rider checking in. LD checking in from Ringgold, Georgia. Marshall Overacre. Barry, hope your area wasn't hit too bad from last night's storm. We are still without power on the north end of town. Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit as well. And Jack W checking in. Okay. Well, like I said, this is a Thursday afternoon live stream. I was surprised with the live stream on Monday at 7 o'clock. We had, I think at the peak, we had 96 viewers, which I think is fantastic. I guess you can see it. I don't know if you can see it. There's a little counter up here in the corner. I hope you can see that. I don't even know. Currently showing 12, and that'll go up as time goes on, and it starts to catch up with the stream, let's say. But as Marshall was saying, asking about the storms, well, we all know, or I think most of us know, Hurricane Zeta or Zeta, I don't know how they say it, came storming up through, I guess, Mississippi and Louisiana and across Alabama into Georgia, and I think it's still headed northeast. And there was a lot of concern in Georgia and various, parts of other states, Alabama and whatnot, with the high winds and rain and everything else that would be associated with this hurricane. So we prepared as best we could. We put away, stuff that was outside that might have gotten, carried away by the winds, and tried to, just wait and see what happens. Thankfully, we had no damage. We had, I have 3 big maple trees in the front yard, and for some reason, maple trees tend to shed branches almost constantly. And there was a bunch of, dead branches in the maples that they got them all out last night. I think everything is on the ground now and mixed in with leaves and whatnot. So lots of branches on the ground. And then I also have a cage that I built around our blueberry bushes, made out of it's 1/2-inch Schedule 40 PVC with some netting over it. And in the past, there's been enough wind that it could roll that off of those, even though it's just netting, little thin netting. And so I have staked it down with some rods or whatever. Well, the winds were so strong last night that it actually shifted all that and bent the rods, which are very flimsy. They're just a decorative, rod you can pick up for, I guess it's more for like putting flowers in pots, metal rods. Anyway, so those all got twisted up, but didn't hurt anything. So that's good. And surprisingly, we had a lot of noise, a lot of, wind noise, some rain, and it sounded like something was bouncing off the roof of our house last night. So my wife and I, were both awake at 3 o'clock in the morning and thinking, what was that? Because, it sounded like a tree had hit our roof and bounced off of the roof. And, I looked out the windows, couldn't see anything on the ground. I thought, well, if it did something, we'll find out when, rain starts coming through the ceiling. But I wasn't going to go investigate much further. And I get up this morning and walk outside. There's nothing. There's nothing on the roof. There's no limb that could have, maybe flung off of a tree and bounced off the roof and landed in the yard. I don't know what the noise was, but it was pretty, it sounded pretty solid, and it happened a couple times. So I don't know, but overall we're all good. Don't have any damage to speak of. I know a neighbor up the street. He has some big pine trees in the front, and there's several limbs snapped off of that pine tree for some reason. Just one of them. They were all down around the base of the tree this morning. And other than that, we're okay. Now, I know that there's obviously a lot of damage in various other parts of the state. Lots of people without power. Alabama and various in the path got beat up from all that. We do have a camper over in Wedowee, Alabama, that maybe was in the path. I know that they suffered a lot of damage over there, so we'll have to check on that later and see how that's doing. But otherwise, we're good. Just I'm a little tired today because didn't get good sleep with the all the noise and commotion going on around the house, but that's okay. I'm retired. I can be a little sleepy, right? All right, so we have Dave Conville checking in. Bad Harry's Hideaway. Hi, Barry. We don't get hurricanes. Hope everyone is safe. We just get ice and snowstorms that take our trees and power lines down. Well, that's usually what we have with the high winds and all that we'll take, because these pine trees, I mean, they're big trees, but the root structure is not very big and solid. But thankfully, again, we haven't lost any trees or anything like that. So, Randy Owl. Hello, everyone. Hello to Barry and Iron Man, who looks to be standing in a possible new Fender from Summit. Yeah, he is. He is standing up there. Yep. And I've made a video on the fenders, and as with everything else, it was not a good outcome. So, yeah, the fender that's sitting on Jade right now is the Scott Drake Fender, which doesn't mean much, but I did a visual on all three fenders. I had them on display, and so I will have the it'll be probably a shorter video, which is as I've strived to do, try to make shorter videos so that they get the right amount of view time and different things like that. And this will be, I guess, a multi-part series on these fenders, because if I do one video, it would probably be well over an hour long, and I don't plan to do that anymore. But the end result is I'm probably going to have to go back to the original Fender that I have and modify it or fix it. And I may end up taking pieces out of this Fender, which is the one my buddy had given me, and merging the two together to hopefully come up with something that will satisfy me. I wouldn't mind having a Dynacorn Fender, but again, the biggest problem is the shipping. I had somebody comment on the video that I made when I went to Summit, and I bought that Fender. Well, that Fender that's on the car, however you want, I don't know how to point at it right now. It's on the car. It was $175 with tax. Okay. If you buy that same Fender, which I'm going to say the same Fender, from like CJ Pony wants $140, I think, for a similar Fender, or their brand, a Fender, $140, and shipping is $195. $195 to ship that Fender. So you have $300 in it in no time. And that's just shipping. I can't make myself pay that much for shipping. And I did check around with a Dynacorn dealer, Ron Wolf, who I've mentioned before. He got me a pretty good price on a Dynacorn Fender, but again, the shipping was $150. I really struggle with paying, that much for some shipping. If I could drive somewhere and pick it up, fine. And like I said, Summit is, I don't know, 35 minutes away from me, something like that. So I'll end up boxing this Fender back up, probably, just taking it back to Summit, getting my money back, and working with the original Fender that I have to try to salvage it. So anyway, David and Cheryl, hi, Barry and everyone. Don't forget to give a thumbs up. Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. Bad Harry, probably snakes bouncing off the roof the other night. Yeah. You never know. You never know. Randy Owl, yeah, I think the size says a lot. Yeah. Yeah, I was so hoping that I could just I didn't want to have to do what I'm going to have to do, but in fact, this fender, it won't even bolt to the car the way it is out of the box. No damage, but I'm going to need probably a half to 3/4 of an inch out of the bottom curve, like straighten it out so that it'll go in and bolt to the rocker panel. That doesn't feel good at all. I mean, I don't know if the fender is just short or what, but by the time you start doing that, you may end up damaging the fender, have to cut something loose to reshape it, and now you're just beating up a new fender. And then the headlight bucket doesn't fit, or it sort of fits. We'll put it that way. But I'm going to have to just try the try to save the original fender. Ronald, hey Barry, or Ron, checking in from Northeast Tennessee. Glad you're here. Clark, everything I get from CJ Pony ships free. I ship free ground. I went to CJ Pony. I put in, their part. I did the shipping thing, and it told me $195. No kidding. I went through because I have an account on them, and there wasn't an option. It just only showed truck freight. That's the problem. It's truck freight. It won't go FedEx or anything or whatever. Truck freight. Because believe me, I checked into it. But Joe, is that Summit the one that has the ham radio shop in the center of it? Ham radio. You talking about? What are you talking about? Because the fender that's here. This is the one that was on the '68 drag car that my buddy had, and that's a made in Taiwan. It even says it, made in Taiwan. But the fender that's on Jade right now, again, that is the Scott Drake, quote unquote, fender, and the only thing that says Scott Drake on it is the sticker that's on the cardboard wrapping. That's the only way they call it Scott Drake. Bob, hey Barry, how you doing today? Bob in Detroit. I'm doing good, Bob. I'm glad you're here. Bad Harry, fender in Canada is $300 plus shipping. And which brand is that? Because CJ has their brand, which is what I was looking at, but I'm going to assume that it's probably not. I don't know. At this point, I'm going to try to save the original fender, even though it has a ton of damage up front. I may end up cutting up, like I said, this one from Taiwan, piecing things together, try to salvage whatever I can. But I really don't feel like cutting up the Summit fender. Frustrating. I've got the bulk of the car. Everything else is, from the doors back is ready to go. But just okay. So Bad Hair, you're saying a Dynacorn fender? Yeah. And I don't know what the shipping would be up there to Canada. I'm sure it adds up. It's got tariffs and all that stuff that they pile on to that. Might cost you just as much to ship it as it does to buy it. So I don't know. I'm going to see, like I said, it'll be a multi-part series to this. So currently I think I'm done with the first part of the video, or the first video of the set. And the second part, I'll strip the original fender. I think I'll just completely strip everything off of it and really get a good look at it, because there's a bunch of Bondo on that fender, and just, I don't know. I have to look at it. LD NPD has 68 fenders that have better stamping than originals. It's only 4 hours from Atlanta, North Carolina store. I looked online at NPD, but I didn't see they had any fenders available, and I'm not sure how much those fenders cost either. So I may look at it. We'll see. Randy, they wanted $500 shipping for body parts on my son's 74 K20. I drove 400 miles round trip to pick up parts. Wow, but worth it. Okay, that's quite the trip he made, but I'm with you on that. Jorge says buy stock in UPS. Yeah. Clark Clifford, you're right. Shipping to New Jersey for one fender is $153.39. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. And to me in Georgia, it said $195. I can't justify spending $200 for shipping. It's just not cool. Arthur, if you guys are needing any parts, I would suggest Virginia Classic Mustang. Speak to Robert. He will get you anything you need. Okay, well, we'll see what we can do. Jorge says he likes NPD. Okay, I'm fine. I'm good with that. Bob Noller. I live 5 miles from NPD warehouse. Oh, well, then you can pick up a fender, and I'll meet you halfway, right? I'll buy you lunch. I'll buy you lunch. Marshall, I know a guy in the Metro Atlanta area that may have some original ones you could look at. Let me know if you'd like me to reach out to him and see what he has. Yeah, I would like that. Yeah, I mean, if I could find an original fender that's better than what I have, I'd buy it. Because the one I have is just rough. It's got, like I said, it's got parts of it. There's Bondo in areas it's like 3/16 of an inch thick. And when I started initially trying to sand that thing down, I found all kinds of bad stuff, multiple layers of paint on it. And I'll still strip it, because if nothing else, I can use it for wall art. I'm thinking what I'll do, if I don't decide to use it, I may cut it down to where it's just the face of the fender, as much of the face as I can get, and repaint it. I say this, I don't know if I'll ever do it, but repaint the thing to match the car, and then hang it on the wall somewhere, which I'm kind of running out of wall space, so maybe I need a bigger shop. I'm taking donations. Let's see. Bob, I think you had nod. I think you were trying to say NPD again. Thomas checking in. I'm doing pretty good, Thomas, whatever it is. It says Thomas, so I'll say Thomas. Bob, I'll bring it to you, and all you got to do is help me primer the Mustang. Yeah. All you got to do is, let's see. Marshall will do, and we'll email you. He can be slow. I'm a first-gen guy. Is the 67, 68 the same or year specific? The only difference between the 67 and 68 is the side marker light. So I plan to keep the side marker lights in this car, on the front. I'm not going to put them on the back. I will, I want to keep the front side marker lights. So that's the only difference. However, even a 67 fender will work. I can just piece in, the hole where the side marker goes. That's not that critical, but I would prefer a 68. By the way, it's $153.39 to ship 2 fenders. Well, I mean, that's good, but I think it may have something to do with distance as well, how far you are from them. Here, me in Georgia, I looked it up this morning, $195 for one fender. Bad Harry's Hideaway, I just checked Summit, $571.58 delivered. Wow. All right. LD NPD 16005-3A improved stamping design available for $164.95. Well, how much is the shipping, I wonder, from NPD? And what is improved? That's always a good question too. Because the comparison I did this morning on these three fenders, huge differences between each one. Now, the original Fender is going to be your best, period. This Fender over here is a made in Taiwan, probably made in the, I'm guessing, 80s or 90s. And then the Scott Drake Fender, which is reinforced tinfoil. When it comes down to it, that's the way I can look at it. It's a lot thinner, a lot lighter, and just not what I'm going to use. So, if you ship 2 pairs of fenders, it's $153.39. Well, I don't need 2 pairs of fenders. I only need one, just one, and I know it's $195 to me in Georgia. But I appreciate you checking. Anyway, so I'm going to do, like I said, there'll be another part to the video. And if I can find another Fender, I will. I'll look into it some more. But I'll look into LD, I'll look at the NPD and see what they say as far as that goes. I know Ron, he had got me a fantastic price on the Dynacorn Fender, but it was like I said, $150 to ship it, and maybe that's worth it. I don't know, but I like to fix things too. Clark Clifford, phone a friend. Richard Byrne, is it Byrne? I don't know, Byrne, Byrne. I agree with you. NOS is best. I've used NPD, and you got to adjust every one of them. Yeah. And see, that's the thing. For the most part, that Fender that I have, the original one, it sits on the car. The gap is pretty decent at the front or at the rear, but it's just that nose piece. It's all beat up. But it's the way it is. I had to salvage the left front fender when I replaced that bottom section that was rusted out. Did that patch, which turned out great. And I kind of wish that that's all that was wrong with this Fender, the original that I have. But that part of it is all good. Everything behind the center of the wheel well is fantastic, or the wheel opening, let's say. But to that front peg, it must have been hit. It had to have been hit at some point. And even the headlight, part of the structure behind the headlight bucket is rusted through, which isn't that critical, except, I have, like I said, this Fender, which can be, a sacrifice. I can cut out those pieces and put them in to the, the original Fender. So that'll take care of some of it. But Clark, NPD has truck freight, and they won't even give an estimate as far as I can see. Yeah. Well, everything's gone up. All the shipping rates have gone up. And, I don't mind driving an hour or so, 2 hours if I had to get a good Fender. But, I'll see what I can salvage. That's the way I operate. I try to save what I can. You know that. I try to save what I can. Jorge, cut, weld, grind, and repeat. Yeah. And that's probably what it's going to come down to. The one thing I do like about the original Fender, is it still has a stamping on the inner flange, for the date. So I was looking over, even though this car has been cut apart and pieced together with everything, front to rear, when I did the rear quarters, and I saved the rain gutter, around the trunk opening, there's a stamping there that has a date code. And so in doing that, that gets the impression that it's still original, even though it's been, cut. But it's just one of those things, if you're looking at a car, you want to, see those codes and stuff. let you know if the panels are original or not. Thomas, I'm not sure what you're saying there. You buy #0. You buy from the summit in Talmadge, Ohio, because I only live 45 to an hour from the store. I'm guessing you're saying 0 shipping. I don't know. Like I said, the summit near me is 35 miles. It's an easy drive. Well, you probably saw the video. I didn't show the whole drive, obviously, but simple to get to. So it won't be that big a deal to box that thing back up and send it on its way. But I won't take it back just yet. I will do the strip down of the original Fender and see how it looks, and just go from there. That's all I can do at this point. But if I come up with something else, great. All right. So let me think what else there was going on. We had a big storm, Fender. That's really about it. I mean, there's not been a whole lot, over the past couple days of stuff happening. I know that with the storm that came through, they canceled a lot of school, which was, was okay for us, because normally my wife will babysit our grandson during the week, and she didn't have to do that today. She was able to stay home, but it would have been better had we had a good night's sleep without the storm hitting us. Would have been a whole lot better. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, Clark Clifford, I guess, welded up or order 12 fenders and buy cars to match. Yep. Whatever you can find. In fact, I got something I want to mention as well. I'm going to go back to here's the comment from Bad Harry. What do you like to use to strip old paint off? Well, I've tried a variety of things. I use, for the most part, those fibrous warrior discs, they call them. It's like a fibrous material that disintegrates as you strip off stuff. I've tried paint stripper, and I've had mixed results with that, and it gets messy. At least with the abrasive disc, it will remove everything. And I've used it on, I think I showed it on the door. I've showed it on a variety of things, but I know I used it on the doors. When I stripped the doors for this car on the inside, where I repainted them, and I picked those up at like Harbor Freight. They work pretty good. Now you got to be careful you don't sit in one spot and get them hot, because you can easily overheat the metal and possibly warp it. So you have to move around a lot whenever you use those. Other than that, I'll use maybe light sanding discs, some of the floppy discs, maybe from Harbor Freight, just to skim it off, not get crazy and dig in, just to glide it around and knock stuff off. But that'll be the next step. Later, after I'm done here today, I'm back on that and going to grind that apart, grind all the paint off. Let's see, Thomas, you're closer to Summit than I am. Sorry for the confusion. Yeah, like I said, it's not far. That's what I was going to mention. I've been watching. We talked about this before. There's a variety of car shows out there. I mean, there's Counts Customs. There's what is it? What was the one that was a Grease Monkey or Gas Monkey Garage, and variety of them that are, some are better than others, as we all know. I don't watch a lot of those, but I've been watching more and more of Kindig, Bitchin' Rides, and that I'm really kind of impressed by the whole show and by him, and even his workers and stuff. You can tell they're not good in front of a camera. Let's say they don't look like, they don't have a very outgoing personality, most of them, but they know what they're doing. Well, there was a show on recently, and I caught one of the episodes, and it was where they were doing like an apprentice program, bringing in people and letting them try out to work on the show or work on the cars. And they had a group of people, and I didn't see it from the beginning, but they started off with like 12 people. And when I saw it, they were down to, I think, 6. And man, I would have liked to have been on that show, honestly. They had a challenge that I saw last night was they gave them a Fender from like it was a good mark Fender or something from like a 71 or 2 maybe Camaro. So, those fenders have a curve to them. They're not very squared off, more rounded, whatever. And they gave them the task, and they said, okay, your task is to fill in the side marker light. That was 1. 2 was they had to fix a hole, which they had taken a plasma cutter and just cut a hole over a transition of the fender where it had a transition body line. They cut it across that. That was the second part. And then they had to, what was the third one? I think that was what they told them initially. So that's all you have to do is fix these 2 things in 4 hours. And all of them are like, well, that sounds pretty easy. Then they said, oh, wait a minute. We need to make this more challenging. So they took a cutoff wheel and they cut the fender in half, straight up the wheel well or the wheel arch, cut it in half. And they said, okay, you got to put this back together. And then they went and they got a hammer and they put a big dent in each one of the fenders. And I like that challenge. I thought that was pretty cool. So I'm watching them, and some of them had no idea or had little idea as to what they were doing. And one guy was really good. He jumped right on it and fixed it. There was a female or a woman on there. She instead of just welding the seam back together, she didn't know how to weld. And I would think if you're going to go for one of these tryouts, you should know how to weld and stuff. But I say she didn't know how to weld. She didn't know how to weld sheet metal, but she was burning through real fast. And so she was just taking little strips of metal and just like laying them on the backside to stop the weld from coming through the front side. And she did that. It was not good. In fact, the side marker light, instead of cutting a patch to fit the opening, she just cut a big piece of metal, stuck it up against the back, and just welded it on the edge of the hole. And then everywhere she had done that, she had just put a big chunk of metal on the backside and tried to weld it together. And it was a mess. It was just a mess. But it was fun to watch, and I thought, man, I would love to take that challenge, let me see how, and let me get my hands in there and show you how I do it. But not that I'm likely going to get hired by Kindig, but or that I'd want to go move somewhere to work for him. But I do like the guy. I like the show, and it's fun to watch. It's a lot better than what Counts Customs has become, which is like a parody show. It's not even. It's become a joke anymore. Initially, I think when Counts came out, it was a better show, and then it just kind of went downhill to where it's more about, I don't know, the people trying to do weird stuff and different things, and just kind of lost interest in it. I don't even watch that show anymore. But I've been getting into Kindig, so I'm going to keep watching him for a while. Warwagon, is Jade still going to be for your wife? Well, technically, yeah. Whether she can or will drive it, that remains to be seen. But that was the idea. I know I've talked about this before. And the only thing it would change in that, I mean, if she wants to drive it, I'll let her drive it. But I'm going to guess that she's not going to want to drive it now. Just my opinion. But it's one of those things too, where if somebody comes along with a wad of cash and says, I want that car, well, then I'll get her something else. But I don't have any plans to sell this car at this point. It would have to be a really nice number for me to even consider that. Bad Harry's Kindig, great show. Has had most of the same guys with him for years. Yeah, I mean it was. I like I like the show, and at least what I'm seeing of it. There's always going to be stuff that's maybe behind the scenes that you don't see, or somebody may say, well, he's not like that on real life. He's mean, or I don't know. At least what I'm seeing on the show, I'm happy with the what they're doing. David and Cheryl got to get going to work. Glad to see everyone here. Quick question, Barry. The sanding pads you got for your DA on Amazon, do they make ones that would fit in a drill? I don't know. I've seen pads. Well, those pads. Let me think here. I'm trying to remember if those had a post on them. I think they have a post that you could grab onto the post with the drill, but I don't think it has like a hex side, like an insert type of, I don't know what you want to call it, an apex bit where you can slide it in, lock it in. I don't think it has anything like that. So, I mean, it would probably work, but mixed results, I would think. Jorge, City Strip 1 quart, safer paint and varnish stripping gel, non-NMP, $13 Home Depot, works good. Wow. Okay. I'll take your word for it. LD, have you tried Prestige Mustang Salvage Yard in Monroe, Georgia, between Atlanta and Macon? No, I have not. I actually haven't even heard of them, so maybe I need to look them up. Sammy Lisa Smith checking in. Glad you're here. Hey, not bad. We had 41 there a second ago. That's pretty good. What I found is, and I've mentioned this before, with the adjustment, let's say, of the length of my videos now, and what I'm shooting for, I really want to shoot for about 20 minutes. I know I've been going a little bit longer than that, but I don't want to do a 15 minute and a 15 minute. So I'm still trying to do about a 20 minute or so video. And what I've seen from that is better feedback from the YouTube, or from the views and stuff that I'm getting. I know that the door alignment video that I did was over 20 minutes, but it's getting good watch time, which is right around 50%, which is what I need, what I want. And the views on it, I think it's like 2,400 or 2,500, I think. Let me see. Yeah, 2,300, which is great. In fact, I don't even know. This kind of boggled me a little bit. On the live videos, the Monday night live stream where I had 96 people on or watching at one time, that is my most watched live stream. It has, at this point, 1,450 views, which I think is fantastic. Now, what triggers that different? I don't know. I don't know what made people want to watch that one more, but I'm not complaining. Everything helps. Warren checking in from Phoenix. Glad you're here. Bad Harry's, only 15 thumbs up and 40 watchers. Come on. How hard is it to click on the like button? You're exactly right. It's right there. It's not hard. Now, I did have, I don't know where he's at. I had somebody, Randy, had mentioned to me before about, being on the live stream. And I thought he meant like being on the live stream. And I sent him a link. So I don't know if he's around today or not. He was saying, how do I respond? And I said, well, you just, on the side, you post comments, just like everybody else. It's just right there. So, if there's anybody on here who's wanting to make a comment, leave a comment, join the stream, whatever, I'm only seeing it from my aspect of this app that the StreamYard program that I'm using. So I get a little window of me that I'm talking to, and then the side has, that side has a chat window, a chat bar. So I don't know I guess it looks the same way on YouTube, but if you're looking at it, just throw a chat in there. Yep, Crash Rider. Yep. Here's another thing. I've been missing Steve from Footage Factory. I think he's out of the country. I think he's in Scotland. So shout out to Steve if you're still outside the country. Looking forward to getting back and being on the stream whenever you can. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Otherwise, there's not a lot going on. I know that I'm trying to resolve all the little details in order to get all the primer done. Like I said on Jade, I still need to dig the hood out, get it prepped, and then dig out all the panels, find the front valance, the rock guard, and whatever grill pieces. I know I have some of the metal up there in the rafters for the grill. And then if you remember, the very first video I did on that car 7 years ago was an overview. And it was one that I was experimenting. I did an overview. I think I used a phone and I filmed it. So the video is really kind of weird. I don't like it. But at that time, I was kind of seeing how it would work. But the guy who had it before me, at least I assume it was him or maybe somebody else, had used a center grill out of a 2000, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 Mustang, because it had the extra lights. They had like an insert that had lights in the grill itself, kind of like the Camaros or various other Mustangs or various other, like the Shelbys had extra lights and stuff like that. But when I first looked at that, I thought, well, that's kind of cool looking, to add those lights. But unfortunately, the grill is like that much too short on each side to fit the opening for the 68 Mustang. And I've been, all this time, all these years, I've had that just kind of tumbling around in my head. How could I improve that, or how could I make that work? And I still don't have a good answer. But what I might try to do is take the lights that are in that grill, take them out, and maybe mount them behind the original grill opening. So at least it has some extra lights, shining forward. But I've been, it's like, well, how do I want to finish this out? Because I've seen some where they have like a California special, or the Shelby versions where it's got extra lights up front. And I've seen some with nothing, just a bare grill. But I can't wrap my head around exactly what I want it to look like. I like that look with the extra lights. Adding those on, like from the Shelby kit or the California special design, pretty expensive. Just pretty expensive. So I have to kind of, what makes sense? What's a good idea that I can incorporate and, get it to look right. So anyway, that's one of the ideas that I have going on as well. Jack, at this point, I'm going to say yes. I've been trying to get parts and stuff, and just I gotta do stuff, and so that's why I've decided I'm just going to try to get Jade. If I can get it all the way to the paint, then I'm going to do that. I've had, be perfectly honest, I've had a lot of people recently contacting me wanting to send me cars, and I can't get them in here. I can't do anything. And I've got to do something. I've got to do stuff. I've got to move and get stuff done. And I've got a variety of options that people have been throwing at me, saying, "Hey, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this?" Well, I can't, because I don't have the room for it. Bad Harry's, have you had problems with worn or bent hood hinges? I just mounted the hood And once I will not go down low enough at the cowl, I think I need new hinges. Yeah, the hinges are, yeah, those hinges kind of suck, honestly. The original hinge, um, whenever, what you could do, just to experiment, take the springs off so that you can close the hood and see how it collapses down. I've actually gone with the engine out of the car. I've crawled in underneath the car and loosened up the hinge where it mounts, and just kind of sat in there where somebody else closed the hood, and just kind of adjusted from the inside to get it to settle down. The sometimes you have to slot those as well. Those hood hinges are really tricky because the movement can change so much up and down, slide all over the place. What you could look at, if you're looking at doing something, more custom, like on the Brooklyn Pony, we put in the Mustangs to Fear billet aluminum hood hinges, but there are other brands out there. What was it? Pacific. I talked about it in the Summit live stream. Pacific Union, I think. I think they have some. There was several that I showed on the SEMA videos that I did, where they had the custom hinges on display, the billet hinges. When you have something like that, they don't, they're a lot easier to work with, let's say, to get the look right. But the original hinges, the aftermarket design of the original hinges has always been a struggle. And those in particular, I would take just take the springs off so that you can manipulate them. But there's some other options out there. Just have to dig into it a little more. Just a reminder when looking out for unfriendly snakes, or I can't see what that is, etc. I don't know what that is. It's so small on my screen. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about looking for parts. Watch out for snakes, or I can't tell what that is. I don't know what that little symbol is. It's really hard to see that. It looks like an airplane. Anyway. Yes, watch out for snakes. You need an apprentice and a bigger shop. Yeah. The thing is, honestly, I could. I know I could. I could open up a shop and have employees and go down that rabbit hole again, to where I've got to deal with insurance and deal with utilities and deal with this and that and customer orders and taxes and all these things that add up really fast. So I could, but I really don't want to. I don't want to. In fact, I had somebody the other day, they called me and they asked me if I would paint their Mercedes. Now, I'm not interested in painting a Mercedes. They're asking me for a price, and I said I don't want to paint a Mercedes. And they said, well, how much? I said I don't want to paint a Mercedes. No, how much? I said, no. The price isn't the money isn't the issue. I said I don't want to paint a Mercedes because those are a pain. Mercedes has so many little pieces and clips and parts and stuff to take off, and it was like a 2000 model Mercedes. So it was like, I don't do those. I don't want to. And it was almost like they didn't quite understand what I was saying, because they kept saying how much, and I said it doesn't matter how much. I don't want to do it. Yeah, Sammy Lee says you look at parts. Yep. Clark, you should take up sheet metal body parts fabrication. Yeah. Should, would, could. Crash Rider, bees. Yeah, it's a bee. Got it. Bad Harry's, you need to pass your skills on to an angry young person. I'm doing that every single video. I'm trying anyway, trying. to get as much out there so people can use it. I know there's lots of people doing it, lots of people, digging in, and not so afraid anymore of cutting pieces of metal out of a car and putting it back together. So that's a good thing. But yeah, I don't want to deal with, because I think if I tried to open up a shop again, then I would not be able to do what I do. I think it would be too difficult. It would be more like being a manager at that point. And, I like getting dirty and grinding and cutting and welding and doing all those things. I think it would be too difficult for me to get into. Plus there's lots of overhead involved. If you, I did find a building in Alabama for sale that, had it been at a better location, I probably would have considered buying it. But it's a 40, it's got to be 40 by 80 shop. That's like in the middle of nowhere. Fantastic shop. It's got a paint booth in it. It's got, some equipment, and it would be great. But there's no house. There's nowhere to live. And also the access was pretty rough getting in and out. I mean, it was a rough, not paved, not concrete. And it was really just kind of a weird location. It's like up on top of a hill. It's not very conducive to doing stuff, but it'd be fantastic to have a shop like that and have, a few people, maybe working. I do know that there's a friend of mine who owns a body shop, who also does Mustangs at his home. It's really kind of neat to go to his place and talk to him and his dad, because his dad is probably late 70s, can't get around very well, but he's there, the son is there, and there's usually 2 or 3 other guys who are all old timers. I mean, guys in their late 60s who are putting together Mustangs or other cars. I guess all Mustangs. So it's kind of neat to go over there and see them and talk to them, because they're friendly, and they're willing to give advice and talk about things. But that would be nice to have at least a group of people like that I could have, working together. Even in here, I could get a lot done. But oh well. It looks like Iron Man is getting ready to weld the fender for you. Yeah. Yep. I wish he would. LD, back on the truck freight. Could you imagine shipping a fender and paying $195 and it be dented? I always travel for the big important sheet metal, take original parts to compare if needed. Yeah. Well, see, that's why I loved having Mustangs Unlimited. It was an hour for me, but I would go there and I would take out the fender or take out whatever, go over each piece, and then put it in the box. Say, I'm good with these. Here's your money. See ya. But now, this fender that they had at Summit, that was the only fender they had in stock. So they're going to get it back, because I don't think it's going to be any good. I know it's not going to be any good. But I'll just have to figure something out. Wow, it's almost been an hour already. So that's where I'm going to cut this off. It'll be at 4:00 will be our time limit today. It's nice to have even 38, 40 people here talking about stuff and sharing information, all that fun stuff. And we're talking about the weather. It's currently 80 degrees here in Georgia, and humid as can be. It's 80 degrees. I have friends who are out in Montana right now, where it's like it got down to negative 20 the other night. They're taking a little vacation. I don't want to take a vacation to Montana and be out there in negative 20 degrees. Just not on my dream list of things to do. Let's see. Thomas, I enjoy watching your channel and junker up with Chris Birdsong. It's just the way you guys do your work. Well, thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Mike Cook. Hello from Alabama. Well, hi, Mike. Glad you're here. Gordon Cahoon. Next time you order parts, try using address from your old shop to see what difference is. Might be an option. Commercial address is always cheaper. Yeah, they said it would be $150. And the one thing I looked up, it was $150 for a residential and $125 for a commercial. So, I thought about that as well. Warren, so Barry, from what I understand, you think Dynacorn is the best? Spelling might be wrong. Well, I'm going to say it's probably the best option, for what's out there. I can't say, obviously, original tooling is always going to be the first check mark, but the best stuff out there right now is Dynacorn, from what I'm seeing. Oh, and I'll point this out. That shop I was talking about earlier, where they build cars at their home and they also have a body shop. I stopped by their body shop recently. They bought a 67 fastback Dynacorn body because the guy who had the original 67 fastback, the car was so bad that they said, hey, we're going to just, get a new body and start over. So they did. And the guy was telling me, he said they didn't realize how bad the fitment was on that Dynacorn body. I thought they had improved. I thought maybe they had gotten better at doing that stuff. He said they had to cut loose almost every panel and reset it, readjust it, weld everything back in to where it lined up. He said the doors didn't match, the quarters didn't match, the deck lid didn't match. Even where the roof met the quarters, it was all lumpy. The body, it wasn't smooth. It had lumps in the body behind the drip rail. He was like, he can't believe how much extra work they had to do to that Dynacorn body. Now, I can't say it's not the panels, it's their method or whoever puts it together, because they're just popping a piece on and welding it in. And they're probably not really caring whether it lines up correctly or not. They just get it out the door, get their money, let the next guy in line work with it. So just wanted to point that out as well. LD is my name on Google. Oh, yeah. I saw those pictures of the apron. Yeah. The difference between the Dynacorn and the other brand. Yeah. Bob just got here so late as usual. Well, you're late, and it's going to be you're not going to see much. Time is running out. Bad Harry's, yeah, that would suck. They're not cheap bodies to buy. They are not. And not only that, but when you get one of those, you only get from the, you get the frame rails and aprons. You don't get the fenders. You don't get the hood. You don't get any of the front sheet metal. You just get, from the doors back, plus the frame rails and aprons and all that stuff. But the bolt-on stuff doesn't come in that package. So, man, it adds up really fast. And then all that extra work that they're having to do to make that car look decent, it's just crazy. Just crazy. Karsten, hi all. We are on winter time, so you are an hour early. Oh, sorry about that, Karsten. Our time will be changing this weekend. Yeah, be changing this weekend. So I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe it'll be. I'm sick of the time change anyway. Bob Shoemaker, something the way you have the Brooklyn Pony would be the best way to get a full body assembly. I agree 100%. That's why, like Peterson Restorations, that's what he's doing. He's starting with all the pieces and jigging them all together and coming out with really nice cars. And that is something I wouldn't mind doing. Even if it was like, I've had, people want me to build Broncos for them, build a Bronco body. Okay. I'm not against doing that. I just need to have something to build it on. You can have the floor pans, but I would need to have some sort of a frame type of jig that I could, set the pieces on and put them together. I don't think it'd be hard at all. No, not in my opinion, to build one, but we'll see how that goes. Maybe someday, maybe. Bob Shoemaker. Yep. Time changes weekend. Thank you, Bob. Bad Harry's. Peterson does nice work. Yep. I mean, I've seen some of his stuff, and he does really nice work. But he's basically, what he's showing on YouTube is just building a shell, from what I'm gathering, just putting the shell together and selling it, moving it on, which is where I would rather be. Then I'm not having to, wait for parts, or, I'm not having to deal with all the other secondary stuff that is part of the build process. But, that's how it is right now. Anyway, it's been an hour. I've got more work to do. Let me see. Okay. I've got more work to do on these fenders, and I'll probably I think I'll have another video out either, I don't know if I'll out tonight or tomorrow. And it'll be on the comparison between these three fenders, and just have to wait for it. In the meantime, there's hundreds of videos that you can watch if you're bored. You could go back in time and look at stuff from 10 years ago. But anyway, there's more coming. Okay, so I'm going to call it a day. I'm glad y'all checked in. Like I said, this hour went by pretty fast. I'll be back on Monday at 7. And maybe we'll see if we can't get to 100 live stream watchers. I know we had 96. That's the most I've ever had. And maybe we can get to 100. We'll find out. So that's going to be it. Until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.